Well, we're going further and further down the rabbit hole that Yuhi is going nuts. He is going full on villain. I really do wonder at this point, with how dark they're really taking Yuhi, if at some point he's going to have, this is weird to say, honestly, a point in which Samidare Asahina no longer jives with him. Like, he's going to go so far down the rabbit hole of being this villain that she's going to pull the reins back and go, whoa, chill. You're going a little bit too far. Which is it's obviously funny because what's her end goal? To destroy the entire world. Now, honestly, it will be kind of funny if eventually Samidare reveals that, oh yeah, I didn't really mean it literally. But she technically did she did lay it out pretty literally, but I just wonder at this point, because he's getting darker and darker, and the only thing that's keeping him somewhat grounded is Noi. Now, granted, Noi has zero control over him. It seemed like he helped him in the situation with his grandfather. Like, Noi was the one that kind of kept pushing him, saying, do you really feel that way? Do you really think your grandfather's that bad? Do you truly don't love your grandfather? And then eventually, Yuhi realizing, no, yeah, save him. It does seem like Noi has always been, not really always, but here recently with the storyline anyways, his grounding force, the thing that's trying to keep him in check, though he's not doing so well anymore. No, but over this episode, we did find out that apparently Samidare does see what's happening in these dreams, and she is embarrassed, remembering or recalling this dream where she did kiss Yuhi. Now, it is funny because I still hold for sure that is the princess, Hime, inside of Samidare that's actually doing this. And it's not actually her actions. But it is interesting to finally see that, yes, she does know what's going on in there. Even though it did seem like with the last episode, she didn't really reference what was happening in the dreams. All the conversations they were having about giving him this gift and all that kind of stuff, she never recalled it. It wasn't until, yes, they finally see each other after she kisses him in this dream that she's suddenly embarrassed. But now most of this episode was really a lot to do with their interactions with Hangetsu. And Hangetsu Shinonomi and his training of the princess. And yes, eventually to the point where he is offering to train Yuhi as well. That whole thing is another big question mark that's starting to make me really wonder. But yes, these training sessions with Asahina and him are just her basically trying to hit him and him dodging every blow. It was funny because the author, Satoshi Mizukami, did tweet about that stick that she got out of the bushes was a little bit too straight. Like, she pulls out like this perfectly carved pole of a stick randomly out of the bushes. And yeah, apparently he made a joking comment about that. This eventually leads to Hangetsu Shinonomi meeting Isami and saying that his name is I love you. Ski-san, okay. Nice to meet you. And eventually, after he leaves, we do have this little conversation with Yuhi, kind of letting Samidare know, look, I don't think we should tell him what our goal is. Obviously, seeing him as a threat. He's really strong. He's this person of justice. He's not going to like what her actual end game is, which to her response, honestly makes perfect sense. What does it matter? The world's destroyed either way. If he doesn't help me, the world's destroyed. If he helps me, the world's destroyed. What does it matter? This is where we get the convenience store golem, which chases him down, and Hangetsu comes and saves him. I really like this scene because it was a lot to do with, again, this is the point in which I'm starting to see there's something possibly else there with Hangetsu. Like, I don't think he's complete. And again, this, again, goes to the credit of this writer. And what I keep saying every time I talk about the show. Everything you think is normal, everything that you think is cliche, everything you roll your eyes out, eventually will twist it into something else. This writer does a lot of things on purpose. So you do see Hangetsu as being this very chivalrous man. He is the chuny, I want to be the hero, I want to be the Super Sentai guy that saves everybody with a pose. And eventually you'll realize that he's not really all that. Like, that's not his actual goal. And this seemed to be our first sign of that. When he does look back to Yuhi after taking out the golem, Yuhi is mad and he's feeling threatened. This guy in front of me, I have to figure out some way to take him down because he's so powerful, he's going to take down Hime. Like, I need to protect Hime, and this guy is the biggest threat. Even though he's supposed to be our ally, the moment he realizes that she is going to destroy the world anyways, he will turn on her, and thus he is a threat. And what does Hangetsu say the moment he turns around? I like those eyes. Those bloodlust eyes are great. I can train you. Let's train together sometime. So yes, one side could be that he's seen Yuhi and said, man, he was super angry at that golem. I like those eyes. He has potential. He even says that Samidare doesn't have potential. He does. He sees potential in Yuhi. Princess, who he's supposed to protect and help, he's training her, Yuhi. So I think, again, that's going to be a sign that he sees something in Yuhi. Another side, what is needed to become strong? A passion, an anger that can fuel your progress into something. Whereas, again, he doesn't see that in Samidare. And again, I wonder if that's going to turn into something in the future. But yes, the other side is that he sees that he's looking at him with bloodlust. And he thinks it's a good thing. Does he want a rival, I guess is the thing? Does he want a rival? Does he want a villain that he can truly fight against? Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he has a thirst for being the hero and wants a villain that he can fight against. Again, always taking something that seems normal. Oh, he's a Super Sentai fan, whatever. And turning into something like, I want to make a villain to feel my desire, this deep-rooted desire. It was interesting to note that in this scene, they cut something. Well, obviously they cut when first we cut to Samidare, when Yuhi was under attack and she was in the bath. Yes, we had a full pan shot, and she even went off to, it like cuts to that, to her just drying her hair. But no, then when they were leaving, when Hangetsu went to leave, in the manga, Samidare is watching. Like, she's seen this scene. She's seen Hangetsu look at Yuhi, looking at him with bloodlust, and saying that she doesn't have potential, you do. I don't know if that's going to be significant. Maybe they cut it because it's not significant. This is where we have a segment that's quite different than the manga. As we have the scene where Yuhi goes into the cafeteria, sees Hisami, and Hisami's eating, and then cut to Hangetsu, and he's sitting there alongside her. He actually was sitting down eating already, and Hisami was talking to the girl that Yuhi went to eat out with, the one that was cut from the manga a while back. Like I said, the writer said that I had a couple scenes with her, but I didn't really know what to do with her, so we went ahead and cut it. Well, in this scene, she's technically telling Hisami that Yuhi's great, and by the way, he has superpowers. So apparently at this point, now it's obviously Hisami's not going to take it seriously, but it's still like that planting of the seed of, wait, Yuhi has a power? That's interesting. But the other thing that was kind of cut is, as they're talking, obviously Hangetsu leaves with the cheesecake and goes and leaves, and Hisami's eating it, and then goes, oh wait, his Hangetsu Shinonome. There's another person by that name at the school. It was somebody that I was an advisor to. Mikazuki Shinonome. Now, he apparently is like a year under Yuhi, and apparently had disappeared 6 months prior. And so she does ask Yuhi, hey, can you go ask him? Can you ask Hangetsu if he knows if it is his brother and what happened to him? Again, because she is his advisor. But the other interesting thing, again, that was cut, that was in the manga, and again, this could be a case where it didn't fit or it had no purpose, or maybe later on this character has no meaning to the show, but it specifically shows a face in the manga, and it has the whole jaw teeth thing, which, I absolutely hate. Anime, manga, please stop the jaws teeth thing. I hate the crooked jaws teeth thing. It's always been irritating to me. But Hisame in the manga says that he has a great smile. It's an amazing smile. It's a terrifying smile. And again, it shows this really crooked teeth for 2 frames in the manga. So it seems pretty significant. Obviously, this character is going to be significant somehow, because why would they just randomly bring up this younger brother? Theories. Yuhi does ask him about it, and he's like, yeah, he says something about going to the Southeast Asia, but why are you asking? He's like, well, Hisami wanted to know, and then he runs off. So that's all we really get about the younger brother, but it is very curious. Why go out of their way to point out that this guy disappeared 6 months ago? And yes, based on the manga, this creepy smile. It kind of implies that this guy is going to be maybe a threat, maybe somebody that Hangetsu actually took out. What if his brother is a terrifying person that's dangerous somehow, or maybe he is one of the other heroes, maybe he is one of the other knights for the princess, and maybe Hangetsu got rid of him. A lot of question marks starting to throw in my head about this person, and possibly Hangetsu being very chill about it. Like, why doesn't he say, yeah, my brother's one of the knights too? I mean, he knows Yuhi's a knight. Why wouldn't he say, yeah, he's also another knight. He's off somewhere else doing something. It just seems very curious that he's so, again, just kind of brushing it off. But yeah, this is the point which we do see a little bit more of Yuhi falling into the pit of destruction, basically. Mentioning, oh, well, I just figured it out. I know how to finally get rid of Hangetsu. Hangetsu, again, is this threat of the princess. I know how to get rid of him. He's so obsessed with Hisame, I'll just kidnap Hisame, hold her hostage, and then I'll kill Hangetsu. And that's obviously Noe's not liking this. Like, what? Dude, seriously? Knock it off. Like, he's like, seriously, knock it off. But no, Noe's response here really is that you're drunk on your power. You've been fighting all these life and death situations, and now it's got you so messed up in the head. You're losing your grip on morals, essentially. But again, similarly creepy, but at the same time making perfect sense is Yuhi doesn't care. Like, I like that this isn't a case where Yuhi turns around and says, no, I have my own justice. I need to protect the princess. Don't you want to protect the princess? Doesn't really try to turn it on Noe. He doesn't really care what Noe thinks. It's like, yeah, I thought of that already. He doesn't care. Like, yeah, I want to do anything I can to protect. And it is one of those funny things where it's like, okay, Noe has expressed the idea that Hime is inside of a crazy girl. He's already kind of expressed that. This girl that the princess is inside of, she's crazy. She wants to destroy the world. Again, we don't even know technically if the princess wants that too. My assumption is based on the conversations in their dream world, she's perfectly fine with it. This is something that she does want. But it's odd that Noe never really seems to know. It doesn't seem to be on the same page, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, granted, we don't really get a sense of Hangetsu and what his endgame goal is as well, but this is starting to turn my gaze into possibility that the Lizard Knight, Noe Croissant, and again, going back to the idea that this has been a battle that's happened before, I'm starting to believe, my theory's starting to go in that I think that Yuhi, as the Lizard Knight, is the Mage. My thought process is going in that direction, and I think the reason that Samidare has attached to him so quickly, why he's the first one the princess basically enlisted. She's not going out of her way to enlist Hangetsu. Again, she always says, like, all I need is you. The only knight that I need is you. Because that's the only knight she needs. The only one she needs to get her in-game goal is him. She needs to make sure to keep him in check because he is the mage that's going to threaten her goal. And she, at the same time, is going to use him to get her to the hammer. And now that I think of it, one of the cut parts in the manga, which they might show in the next episode, so I'm not going to say, does support that theory. So next week, if it does show it in that episode, we'll talk about that. One of the final panels towards the end of this episode did show something, and I think that's going to support that theory. So we'll see next week if it shows that or not, and I didn't draw that conclusion based on that panel because that panel just came up after I thought of that. So we'll discuss that next week if it does appear in the anime. I don't want to spoil anything that is possible to show up in next episodes. But yeah, following this, we have Hangetsu showing up at Yuhi's place. I love the dog saying that he's going to mark things. But they hang out for a little bit. It was kind of interesting to have this moment where Yuhi seeing this magical bricks face smash ability that this magical girl had, which was like super violent and just, yeah, that's a magical girl, sure. Like following this, it had like this brief moment where Yuhi and Noe are kind of acknowledging, yeah, I guess when I hit you, it might have hurt, huh? Yeah, it did. And when I hit you, it kind of hurt. Yeah. No apology again. Kind of like, it's kind of cool. Like they're not apologetic. At the same time, they're just acknowledging that they hurt the other person, but they're not really going to go into the realms that it wasn't warranted. It's almost like they're saying that I hit you because it was warranted, but I do want to acknowledge that it hurt you. I want to acknowledge that it probably hurt you too, but I'm not going to apologize for it. It's warranted. Following this, we have the father showing up. Then they decide to go out to have drinks together. And at the drinks, they talk about kind of a history of Samidare and Hisame's father, how he apparently Samidare was sick, which we might have to note this for later. This might come up later on. She was apparently sick with something really terrible. And at some point, her mother left to France to study it. Hisame went with her. Eventually, Hisame came back because they said that Samidare was doing better, and father disappeared. And he's been writing books ever since then. It seems very obvious they're going to go with the idea that Samidare was like really, really sick, and then maybe when Hime came into her body, it bolstered her immune system so she was able to recover from the illness. But that'll probably be something they'll bring up later on. Then eventually leads to them walking home. Father's constantly watching them, and eventually they mention the idea that, yeah, parents always smile because they want to give children the hope for the future, which was kind of something that hits Yuhi in the idea that, yeah, I remember my father always used to smile before everything happened. My grandfather used to smile before everything happened. Kind of giving a glimpse this idea of, oh yeah, that's right. I used to have this father figure that made me hope for the future. And now I no longer have that connection to the future. And that connection, this disconnection might be something that's fueling him for future. So I don't know that necessarily this scene helps Yuhi hope for the future, but rather shows him that he has lost that hope. And it was funny because the bar scene, they did cut a pretty funny scene out. Apparently Hangetsu brought a figure of the magical girl to the bar and starts showing it off to everybody. And sure enough, Yuhi looks underneath the skirt of the magical girl. Asami takes it and go, "You're a pervert." And she looks at it too, and she's like, "It's really hard not to look." And then he sets it on the table, and Noi Croissant goes up there and looks up as well. It's so stupid. But yeah, solid episode overall. Again, just kind of pushing Yuhi further and further down into the realms of unsavable. Again, revealing Hangetsu and his seemingly possible signs of being a bad guy and his connections to a random brother that disappeared. So we'll see how things go from here, but that's my thoughts on episode 4 of Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what's the episode. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you can get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Definitely appreciate everybody does, and y'all take care.